welcome back to Opposites Attract Podcast. This is Sonja Ramirez, your girl, and I'm sitting next to
Miguel Ramirez.
What's up, everybody? How was your day?
How was your week?
How was your life?
Going.
Woo!
Yellow button right underneath.
That's my
yellow
side
button
effect.
out. There you go. Bring it down. It's loud. You'll get it. It takes a little bit. Yay, we're back. What are you? Sonja's running the show again.
That's right. You do as I say.
There you go.
Shoot.
Hey, before we get started, make sure you guys go to our website, oppositesattractpodcast.com. The best thing you guys can do is just follow us everywhere at Opposite Pod. Just search us on any of the social medias, Opposites Attract Podcast. You'll be able to find us. Find our clips channel on YouTube. Share a clip with somebody else. Find your favorite clip. Let them know that it's out there. Have them subscribe. All that stuff. It helps us out.
Yes.
I wanted to play a song. We said a couple weeks ago that we were going to play a song that we're into. So that kind of gets our spirits up for the show, right?
Juices flowing.
Yeah, and there was one that I wanted to bring up. You can bring the
Bluetooth
up.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh.
And let's take a listen. We've been listening to this one for a little bit now, but we haven't brought it to you guys. We've mentioned it on the show, but let's listen to a little bit of Breathe and Let Go by Mihaly.
Great. I get to meditate.
This one came up on Amazon Music.
And me, we agree on what we need. We feel, we see, we live to be free. But the rain still comes washing out the sun. Let the confusion wonder where it started from. Another time and space, another worried face lights up the place. Oh, when your legs are feeling heavy and now your break you slow. Everything is moving fast and you've lost your flow. Steady living in the past 'cause it's all you know.
I like this song.
Yeah.
The kind of loving that you crave when you feel alone. To change your path to a brand new great unknown. Another future is welcoming you home. And now breathe and let go. Relax and go slow. Let your mind untangle. Yeah. And now breathe and let go. Relax and go slow.
Oh.
Let your life unfold.
Well,
Yeah.
There you go.
there you go.
And now breathe and let go.
Now, this is a great song.
That's Breathe and Let Go by
Yeah.
Mihaly.
You know, when you're feeling anxious or just, yeah.
You know, the cool thing is that song, I looked it up on YouTube because it came up on Amazon Music as like, you know, I listened to a station and it was playing related music. And I was like, oh, I wonder what this video looks like, you know, because it sounds like a fun song. And I don't think there was a video of them doing it live, but it's not a huge group, you know? And it's like, dude, this is a great song. It's awesome. And I wanted to share it with you guys. You know, they definitely should get more attention. You know, they make good music.
It's a great reminder, like I said, when you're feeling anxious or you're in a hurry and you feel all, you know, winded up, just to breathe, to let go.
Let your mind unfold. Breathe and
Yes.
let go. Let your mind unfold. Just relax and let go. Yeah.
Great reminder throughout the day.
Yeah.
So what's up, babe? What's new? What you got on your
Well,
list?
this is the last podcast of the year. We've done it again. Another year has come and gone. We're headed into 2025. How do you feel?
I feel that 2025 is going to be a year of rebuilding for me. Or not rebuilding, but just action, right? Like just consistency, self-discipline, right? Just trusting, right? Trusting in the journey, letting go of the conditioning of the hustle. Like that's been such a tough thing for me. When it comes to building a business, like, there's a balance between being and doing.
Yeah.
And when you've been in this industry and have been conditioned to the hustle mentality, yeah.
I don't even think it's the industry. We were talking about it a couple weeks ago in the Winnie the Pooh book.
Mm-hmm.
It's been like since the country was started. It's like coming here and we got stuff to do. We got things to build. We got communities to grow.
Yeah.
And it's like that. I mean, it's from the very beginning.
Well, I was talking about me though.
I know, but that is just human nature. Like that's what we got shit to do. We got, it's like, yes, you do. But like you were saying, there's a difference between doing and being.
Right.
And when you're just doing business shit all the time, like you could just do business stuff all the time. And it's just like, you feel like you wasted time.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're being whatever you're supposed to be in your business, you don't feel that way when you're done.
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah. I was reading, or I started reading this book called The Prosperous Coach.
I don't want to make, it's all the time. I've had this experience.
In jiu-jitsu.
In jiu-jitsu. How much time have I gone and not done? And how many times have I gone and I do? I show up and I fucking do, whether I want to or not, with a shitty attitude or not, and I do. And how much do you get better?
Mm-hmm. Well, you always bring things like the analogies to jiu-jitsu, but how about parenting so that more people can relate to that, right? Because you used to mention that a lot as well regarding parenting, doing the things that you don't want to do, maybe because you're tired, maybe because you're exhausted, right?
Yeah.
And then you do it, and then how do you feel? And how much has your relationship grown because of that?
Yeah.
Like lately I've been witnessing, like you and Joey playing video games together.
Yeah. Yeah, there's been more recently just the focus on spending time with you guys and like just being there, being around. Like I notice these things, like the kids are getting bigger. Mm-hmm. Eventually, like not long from now, it's just going to be me and you.
I don't see it that way.
Yeah, I know. But there's different levels of stuff, babe. Like, yes, the kids will be around.
Mm-hmm.
How far do you live from your mom?
Yeah, like 35.
I mean, my mom
minutes.
just moved to town, but she's still 25 minutes away.
Right.
Eventually, our kids will have families of their own. What is going to be their main priority?
Right, their family.
Their family. So it's just going to be me and you.
Yeah.
So little by little, not little by little. I mean, I've always kind of tried to be aware of these things. But I notice, I look at the kids and I see how big they are every day.
Yeah. Last night, this is something that I've gotten away from a little bit, is going into Adriana's room, right?
Yeah.
And spending time with her. And, last night I went and just sat on her because she loves sitting on me. where I'm sitting, she's like,
Just come and sit on your
my
lap.
And so last night I went into her room and I sat on her. And she just loves it, so we're there and she's talking to me about the dreams that she's been having and how she's been getting a bit scared with her dreams. And, we were just talking and Joey pops his little head in and she's like, get out of here. We're having girl time.
Yeah.
But just sitting there talking to her. So proud of her. She received an email from one of her teachers and asking her if she would like to be a part of the yearbook, that she would really
like her help and that she thinks she would be great for it.
Yeah. And just said a lot of kind, just, the way she sees Adriana.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's so cool because we see her as that, but she's our daughter, right?
Yeah.
but to hear it coming from others, right? And so that's really cool that, you know, and just thinking, you know, when we were at her concert, her Christmas concert, I'm sitting next to your mom, and this is the first concert that they've actually
got to come to.
Yes.
I mean, they live here now, so she had a
Yeah.
concert, so we all got to go together as a family.
Yeah. And that was really cool having
was.
that experience with them.
Yeah.
And as I'm watching Adriana and she's singing, and she's dancing, I started to get emotional because I remember her in kindergarten, first grade,
Yeah.
being up there so bashful.
My mom actually took her to her first day of school
Yeah.
in kindergarten.
Yeah. You know, so bashful. And now seeing her with her confidence, singing up there
Yeah.
and just doing her thing, and how big she's gotten, and how great of a girl, a young lady she is. You know, and I've been down on myself. Like, I don't know, it's so crazy. Just, again, it's growth in my head. And when I read that letter from her teacher,
The email?
the email from her teacher, I felt so proud of her. And then I felt so proud
Yeah.
of us because we raised her
Yeah.
to be that. And regardless of the money, regardless of it all, we've done well.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, yeah, sometimes you got to sit back and like, there was something that was going on. Yeah. You were talking about how like you've been in this funk or whatever lately. And we were driving somewhere and you were mentioning kind of like what you were thinking about. And I had mentioned something. I can't even remember what it was. But when I said something, you said something else. And then at that moment, I was like, sounds like you just want to be sad. Like that's like you're choosing to be sad. Like these are the thoughts that you're choosing to bring into your head, you know? And that, it came up earlier too, but these are all just choices that you make. I mean, there is no lack of depressing things to think about. You know, there's no lack of things that'll, put you in a shitty mood. Turn on the news, get on the internet, and it's unavoidable. It just happens. It's around. But you don't have to like continue, you know, just one thing after. You can choose the exact opposite of that. Gratitude, always. You know? And that changes the way you feel about stuff. Like, what is one thing that you would say for like our listeners? Just something that you would like to share with them or wish for them for next year. Or, something like that. Something to keep in mind.
What would yours be?
Is always, I would say, I think the biggest thing over this year and a lot of last year would just be a perspective. Like, look for other perspectives. Is that the only way that people see this, that things are?
Give an example.
Like I just said. I mean, you could focus. That's just the change in your perspective. You could focus on all kinds of negative stuff all the time. We're in debt. We got this. It's hard to sell the car. Life is fucking hard. I'm getting over fucking worked with like 5 different people's jobs.
Mm-hmm.
People are getting fucking laid off. The company is not doing well. The fucking, we were out of debt at one point. Now we're in debt. There's like all kinds of shit that you could just choose to be fucking negative about. The fucking government's a disaster. Who knows? Like, yes, there's shit that's changing, but is it all going to change for the better? Who the fuck knows? It doesn't always just turn out great.
So a different perspective would be to step back and take a look and sit in gratitude.
Do you know what another perspective is? Fuck it all. People don't understand that shit. Fuck it all. How about that for next year? You've asked me, like, you've
Say
seen
it with a smile and
not
so much. You're so aggressive. Like,
it's not everything is
not everything.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, you were asking me last week, like, or you said that you've noticed like a difference in me, and I felt it. I feel it.
Yeah.
It really, it's like that Joe Coy. It's this, you get to this age where you just don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. I'm a grown ass fucking man. And ain't nobody.
When you say you don't give a fuck, it just makes you sound like.
What I mean is that I realize that every single aspect of my life, of the life around us, is fucking made up. We had a conversation with the kids this morning at the table because, like we mentioned here, this year, I've been joking around that Santa fumbled the bag. Because the kids talk about the bag of money. If you got kids, it's like, oh, I got the bag. Get into the bag. All this money. Mm-hmm. And I was joking around. I was like, well, another thing kids say is when you fumble the bag, you had the opportunity to make a shitload of money and you fumbled it. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, Santa fumbled the bag this year. Mm-hmm. No fucking presents for anybody. And I can't remember where I was, but I was driving somewhere. And I was thinking about this Christmas. Mm-hmm. And I was looking at our accounts. Maybe I had just got done paying bills or whatever. And I was like, yeah, this might be one of those years, like, fuck it. No presents for anybody. Mm-hmm. Like, nobody. And then I was kind of thinking about the kids and like how they're going to feel about it. And like, ultimately, we come back to what is important. And then I'm thinking about, if this is how things go, where there's no presents for anybody, this is the perfect opportunity. And I was actually kind of excited about it, to share with them. No, there won't be any presents this year. And who gives a fuck? Because that is not what is important. Do you think that I love you less this year than I did last year because I couldn't fucking buy you presents?
Right.
No, I actually love you more. Mm-hmm. I love you more with each day, with each year that passes. So if I can't buy you presents, I'm sorry that our society has created this fucking bullshit.
Right.
And I told Joey today when we were going to the store, the way I believe, and if you guys have been listening long enough, you guys know, I believe it's all made up. So what do you do if you believe that this is all made up? You could also be a fucking Grinch and a fucking grouch all the time. You're like, oh, this is all bullshit. This is made up. Macy's is the one making all the money. It's fucking, how many billions are people spending in consumers and this? What are you going to fucking relax, dude? You're going to, oh my God, I couldn't live that way. Instead, I was like, I'm going to take advantage of the opportunities that I have. People decided they wanted to make up Christmas, whether you believe that it's a thing or not, whatever. Mm-hmm. For me, it's a time to spend with my family, to not work, to be in gratitude, to enjoy life.
Yeah.
Regardless of whatever the reason is. Like, find another reason and give me more time off. I don't give a shit. Make it up. Everything is fucking made up. Everything.
Yeah. So, and I think even next year, like, this is something that it's fun to give. But when it feels like an obligation, right? Like something you have to do because this is what everyone's doing and this is why I'm going to do it, right?
Yeah.
But having that conversation this morning with the kids, it was good to see how they responded to it. You know, because I've been talking to Adriana as well. She's like, Mom, how come you don't like to shop? Because I used to love to shop.
Yeah.
But it's like, what do you do with all these things?
Yeah. Yeah, at a certain point, it's like...
So it's not just Christmas.
God.
It's
All
not just Christmas. You know, these are the conversations like I've been talking to Adriana about. We've been talking to...
Yeah.
We talk about this.
We do.
You know, you come into
and we
our
talk
house,
between each other.
like, I don't, you know, the pictures on my walls are the kids' art.
Yeah.
Right? Like, but before I would get all the nice things I had, and that's what I told her. I'm like, I had all the things. You know, like I had a time where I can spend whatever I wanted to buy, you know, like clothing, so whatever, before kids, before all the responsibility.
But for what? Yeah.
I don't remember who I was talking to about, but it's like when that day comes, you're not going to be regretting the things that you didn't buy.
Yeah, or you're not going to give a shit about all the stuff that you have. Like, who cares? You know, and one of the other things that I was talking to the kids about this morning was that these things are all different aspects of life. You know, just because so many people put so much value on money. If you don't make money, you're not worth anything. You're not worth shit.
Self-worth.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Yes.
And it's like, well, if you can't provide, you can't give presents, then you're not good. Like, what are you doing? You're fucking up in life. And it's like, these are, just because you're not good with money doesn't mean that you're not a good person. You could be great with money and be a terrible person. You could have a lot of money and be a great person. Like, they're different aspects of life.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah. It's all these amazing lessons that we learn as you get older. I was sharing with someone, there's something about the age of 40, you know, where you start to wake up, you start to see things different.
Yeah. You know, yeah. That part of that, who gives a fuck, not giving a fuck, I don't give a fuck attitude at a certain point, because you've been around, you've seen stuff. You know, like even with my work, like I love what I do. It hasn't always been that way, but I know, like, I do cool shit. And like I've mentioned, that at the end of the day, when the time comes for me to retire or no longer do this, I am going to have feelings about it. I know I will, because it's been such a big part of my life. But at the same time, I know how places work. A lot of times people want to think like, oh, I've done this and I've done that, and I'm so valuable to the company. At a certain point, the company doesn't give a shit. It's too big to give a shit. And they will get rid of your ass and replace you in a week. And you think that it can't be done. But I've seen it. Mm-hmm. So at the end of the day, when work is telling you, like, you have to do this or else you can't do that, or you're gonna, there's gonna be consequences or whatever. It's like, dude, you guys they just let people go. Mm-hmm. So what is the difference here? Like, I'm supposed to break my back and fucking everything company first? But what about these layoffs? Those people don't have jobs anymore. Mm-hmm. Right? So it is what it is. I'm going to do what's best for me. And for my family, I'm not going to stress over, and that's just one aspect where people allow shit to control them. The government, the policies, like all this, like, do your thing. Do what makes you happy. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of hard to put it all together, but when you start understanding things and you're like, this shit's all made up by people. Guess what? I'm people too. And I don't want to do this. How about that? I don't want to play your games. I don't want to be a part of this shit. And some of it you have to. You have no choice.
Yeah.
But you don't have to play in everything. You don't.
Yeah. And I think that's where the freedom, like that's just a word that keeps popping up within me is, what do you want? I was thinking about what is it that I want? What is it that I want in life? And it is that peace, that joy, and unconditional love. And with that comes growth, because no matter how enlightened you become or spiritual, awakening, whatever you want to call it, consciousness, the higher consciousness you get, the more healing that comes into play, because you become more aware of what is not real. You become more aware of the conditioning, that you're part of this cycle, and you start to look at things in a different lens. And the more you start to see clearly, the more things that start to come up within yourself.
Yep.
That you have to reveal, things you have to look at, things you have to reflect on, accept, detach. And I was sharing with Miguel, it's almost easier just to be ignorant to it all, and to continue to live this robotic life where you are on autopilot
and unaware of the things that are happening around you.
But being that, you are not going to find joy, you're not going to find peace, and you're not going to find that unconditional love for self and others.
You know what you're not going to find? Freedom.
Right.
You will always be controlled.
Yes. You will always be in this space of uncertainty. You will never learn to trust yourself. Like, it's just crazy. But if you make the decision to start to question, to start to look within, things are going to come up that don't feel good. Right?
Yeah.
It's work. Like, this is work, and it's a beautiful journey, but it's also challenging as well.
Yeah.
Because you start to see things clearly, and you start to really see, and this is, I know, whatever, the Matrix.
It's like the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
You see behind the curtain.
Right. And once you see behind the curtain, there's no unseen.
Wait a minute. These guys are all just fucking around back here. It's like, oh no.
Yeah.
I'm not playing this game.
Yeah. And now you have to make a choice. There's decisions to make. Right?
And I say, fuck it all.
And and the more you start to peel back the layers, the clearer your vision begins, and you start to receive freedom, which is being detached from all the things. Yeah.
Combined with the awareness of what's going on around you.
Right.
I wasn't planning on sharing this, but this is a video that I watched a few days ago, and it's from the CIA spy that I've been sharing some videos with you. His name is Andrew Bustamante, and this video is called Control or Be Controlled. The one rule that will decide it.
Oh, hold up for a second. Because of the topic that we're on right now, What about the video that you shared with me regarding the Baha'i faith? What the guy said?
What did he say? I showed you a couple of them.
The one where he shared, like, if there was going to be any separation, that there should be no religion.
Yeah.
If religion was going to cause a separation, which I just shared it all,
then there should be no religion.
Right. But that goes with everything in life. If there's a division, if whether it's politics, religion, or anything else that divides us and separates us.
Politics is a great one.
Then, I mean, those are the things that we have to really look at, is that the things that separate us, the things that make us feel above or below when we are all equal.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, let's check this out, because we were just talking about that. But this is Andrew Bustamante, Control or Be Controlled, the one rule that will decide it. Turn it up.
Thumb that CIA teaches us that's scary but simple, right? And that rule of thumb is that you are either in control or you are under control. There is no other option, right? And it's one of those simple binary dichotomies that, we all use to teach people a simple truth. In reality, there are lots of other gradations between the two. But when you take that at face value, it's really about understanding that every day you have to choose whether to take control or whether not to take control. And understand that if you choose not to take control, you're giving control to someone else. And when you talk about influence, Jonathan, it's a perfect example, because you hear people talk about influence all the time. And there's books about influence, and there's gurus who teach you how to build influence, and business coaches who teach you how to build influence. And you also hear the word persuasion. And there's YouTube videos about persuasion, and there's TikTok videos about persuasion. Persuasion and influence, oftentimes people misunderstand them as the same thing, when they're two very different things, right? Persuasion requires that you put active energy into someone in person, right? And that you were using emotional ploys to persuade their way of thinking.
Manipulate.
Influence happens when you are not with somebody, but they are still recalling your knowledge or your belief or your ideas.
Or your lies.
Or your lies, exactly, Em. So persuasion comes before influence. And you have to invest in mastering persuasion if you ever want to be a person of influence, because the influence is the roof on the house, but all the other structure of the house is built on persuasion.
How do I become a better persuader?
First, you need to understand that people don't care about your point of view, but people care very much that other people understand their own opinions. So if you want to build persuasion, if you want to be persuasive, you have to learn how to understand and identify what other people value, and then demonstrate back to them their own values. If they care about freedom, then you need to highlight freedom. If they care about environmentalism, then you need to talk about environmentalism. If they care about the future of their children, then you need to talk about the future of their children. But if you sit there and talk about, the incredibly high tax rate that you have to pay when they're worried about how they're going to put food on the table, you're not going to persuade them, right? So if you can learn to
meet people where they're at.
Correct. It's something that we call perspective. If you can gain perspective and let go of your own perceptions, then you have a real opportunity to build persuasive appeal, which will turn into long-term influence.
Yeah. But in the beginning of that video, he starts with either you're in control or you're giving up control. And if you're not choosing to take control, you're voluntarily giving up control. Look at COVID. Shots, masks. A lot of people left it for somebody else to make the decision for them. What is right for you? And we did what we did, but it wasn't based off of a recommendation from anybody. It was the decision we felt was best for us and for our family. Yeah. And in every way, you have to look at what is controlling you. Like this is something that I've been good at my whole life. Like I've spotted it, control with different things, with work, with the military, with women, with all kinds of shit. I'm just saying, like, everybody knows like the tricks that women try to play, and
They work. Look at you.
that's what you think. They don't like. Okay, you know me pretty well.
Yeah.
If you give me an ultimatum, how do you think that goes?
Yeah. But that was with me. What about before?
That was
You
the same.
learned that.
No, I was that way. If I get an ultimatum, I go the other way. Almost always. Because there's something about an ultimatum, I will go the other way. Because I know an ultimatum is trying to control somebody. If you don't do this, then I'm going to do this. If you don't do this, then this is not going to happen. Guess what? I'm fucking out.
Out. I'm out.
No, like try it at work.
Yeah.
You know what I'm like? No,
Yeah.
it's just
Itch my eyeball.
control.
Yeah.
And you got to be aware of it. And there's so many, you said something just a little while ago about, you were saying, like, you were kind of talking about the things that kind of split us up,
Mm-hmm.
and politics is one, religion is one, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
There's so many.
in politics it is easy, because what is the one thing that we can all be?
Love.
Okay. No. You can't be
As
love.
You
You can't be love. Actually being something.
being. Okay. Tell me.
What is the one thing that we can all be?
I don't know. Tell me.
Human. People.
Okay.
Humans. Can we all be Republican? No. It's impossible. Can we all be Christian?
We can all be love.
No. Babe, you can't be love. Love it is. You can't be it. I'm talking about being a being on like an actual thing. We are people walking the earth.
Okay.
So you can't be everybody can't be a Republican. Everybody can't be a Christian or a Muslim, or everybody can't be black or Hispanic, whatever the fuck that is. Like at what point Brazil is like in South America. Are they Hispanic? Are they Latin? What's the difference between Latin, Hispanic? Like there's all these different things that break us all up. But what is the one thing that we can all be? People. Humans.
That's what we are.
That's it. All these other things are, if you really look at it, who created black, white, red, yellow, brown, whatever? Who created that?
People.
People. Who created the religions? People. Who created the political parties? People. It's all people shit. I brought it up to you. I'm not to make this negative or anything, but I brought it up to you yesterday or the day before. We were talking about something, and it's like, look at history. Just like all of history. All of it. And look for one place where you got people together, like a lot of people together. And what ended up happening over time in every situation, whether it was a company, whether it was a nonprofit, whether it was a country, whether it was a tribe, whatever. Eventually, more and more people start getting into this thing. More and more opinions start getting shared. You have to start taking more and more things into account. And then the whole thing just falls apart. It's like you get enough people, they're gonna mess stuff up.
That's why, well, I was asking you this earlier because, you know, you don't believe in God, you don't believe in anything. You said you believe in the human race, but you just shared with me that you put enough people together and they're going to fuck it up. So how do you believe in the human race? I don't understand how you say that. And then you just said what you said. And how can you believe what you believe?
Because life is fucking complicated, babe. And there's things that you're not going to get an answer to. That's the thing that people are not okay with, is not having an answer. I don't know what the answer. I don't know why when you put people together, they fuck shit up.
They also can
make
a huge difference in this world.
No, you could try to get a group of people that do great shit together. Give them enough time. Let them fucking run it. And what is going to happen?
I don't know.
What does history say?
When it was a positive thing,
what does
Martin
history...
Luther King made a huge difference by getting a lot of people together.
You're bullshitting. Martin Luther King didn't start a company or a nation or
a movement. You can get people together for a movement and they can create change, beautiful change.
Or organize that movement.
You know?
Organize that movement and then what happens?
But the movement was organized.
No, where's the Martin Luther King fucking Fight for Justice Foundation right now? There is none. But if there was, it'd probably be fucked up and he wouldn't be happy about what's happening with it. Is that a possibility? What is the possibility greater? That it grew into some fucking incredible thing? Because I can guarantee you the fucking Salvation Army and the Red Cross and all these other people also they grew to a point where there's some fucking shady shit in there.
Oh, yeah.
Why? Because you got enough people together and they fucked it up. When it started, it was a great thing. When you had a handful of people trying to do some good shit.
Yeah, because of people's hearts.
I don't know why that is. But that seems to be a thing. Look at every empire on the planet. They don't fucking last. They go great until they fucking don't. And there is something about, like you said, I believe in people. I do. There's something about individual people. When you're dealing with individual people, you see the innocence. You see the kids that they used to be. You can see all of that. But when you get a bunch of people together, like we see all the different ways of thinking and they do not all work well together.
Well, that has to do with people's past, people's traumas, people's pain, people.
You know that.
You know?
You know that. That's what it has to do with. Or is it possible that it's way more fucking complicated than that?
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? I'm just saying, people aren't born evil or with bad intentions.
I'm not saying that people are born evil.
You know, or with bad intentions. Something happens to them.
Babe,
that creates that.
Where did the politicians all come? Where did all these fucking terrible, where did all these fucking terrible, shitty ass, no fucking heart politicians that are in Washington, D.C. come from?
I don't know. I don't know their parents either. I don't know their
They came from us.
Their past.
They are us.
Oh, okay. And?
They were given power and influence.
Okay.
And all these, yeah. And when you're not checked and all the, you get, shit doesn't go well.
Okay.
This is human nature.
Mm-hmm.
It just seems, I mean, find me an example of the opposite.
The opposite of what?
Some giant, great organization that is fucking above the board, morally everywhere.
Yeah.
Fun. No, I'm waiting. Do you know any?
I don't know.
Big ones that do good shit.
That do good shit. There are a lot of companies out there that do good shit, right?
Yeah?
Yeah. You mentioned a couple earlier.
Like who?
Like Red Cross? What do they do?
Babe, they were giving fucking Nazis birth certificates so that they could escape during World War II.
Were they? Okay. Well, you do your research, so why don't you tell me? Is there any out there?
Not that I've known of. I'm sure there's a lot of little ones with a handful of people that are working together to do some nice shit. But when you got big accounts that a lot of people are pouring money into, you don't think you're going to take a little bit here and there? That somebody, maybe we should give ourselves a raise because we work hard and look at all this money that we raise for who? And you start to forget that you're raising money for breast cancer and all this other shit. Yeah. Like the fucking NFL when they were selling all their fucking pink bullshit all over the place. You're watching a fucking football game and you're like, what the fuck is going on here? Yeah. Why is every player wearing pink? And then you find out that not even 1% of the money that they made off of the pink shit that they sold got donated to the fucking thing that they were supposed to be supporting.
Yeah.
And then whatever it was that they were supposed to be supporting, that organization also had some shit going on.
Okay. So let's talk about something positive here.
When, like I was saying, when you deal with individual people or with smaller groups of people, it's different.
Yeah.
And you got to understand like what's happening. And you don't have to play in all the games. You just don't. And earlier you were talking about the kids. There was something I wanted to share. Something that we can talk about for a little bit. Because it's something that I think has made one of the biggest differences when it comes to our kids. And that is social media. There's been something that happened in Australia recently. And I wanted to share this with you so that we can check it out together and we can kind of react to this video. But in Australia, they have banned social media for kids under 16.
Wow.
So let's take a look at this because they're thinking about doing that in different states here in the U.S. And I think Albania is also looking at banning social media.
A new poll shows nearly 60% of U.S. voters want a social media ban for children in the country, modeled after Australia's first-of-its-kind law passed last month. Our next guest has been studying the effects of social media on children for years. Social psychologist, NYU professor, and author of The Anxious Generation, Jonathan Haidt, joins me now. Jonathan, good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us. So 60% of people say they do support a ban on social media for children. What do you think about that?
Well, I think it's fantastic, and it's actually kind of obvious. You know, in the real world, we don't let kids do everything that adults can do, especially if it's exposing them to graphic sexuality, graphic violence, addiction, or physical or mental harm. We have age limits, except if it's on social media. When you let your kid open an account on Snapchat or Instagram or TikTok, they're going to be exposed to incredibly graphic sex, violence. They're going to become addicted, 10% of them or 20. And they're going to be exposed to things that are physically dangerous for them, TikTok challenges, things like that. So I'm thrilled. It's about time. We need to get an age limit in the US too.
So the CDC recently came out with a study, and it found that 15% of children ages 12 to 17 have anxiety, 9% have depression, and 7.5% have behavioral disorders. I mean, these are kids 12, 13, 14. This should be the most carefree time of their lives. Do you think that these numbers are a result of the increase in social media use among children?
Mm-hmm. Yes, actually, many studies show that the rates are much, much higher than that, closer to 30 or 40% for girls especially.
Yeah.
And there is good evidence that social media is a major cause. We can't say it's the only cause, but the fact that the kids themselves say it, the kids point to social media as a cause. The parents point to social media as a cause. The memos from inside the companies, we now have a lot of, thanks to lawsuits, we now have a lot of memos from inside these companies. They know they are trying to addict kids. They know that
they're trying to addict kids.
Snapchat gets 10,000 reports of sextortion, not a year, a month, every month. So kids are being harmed at an industrial scale. And we do know that when you go off of social media for a couple of weeks, your rate of depression and anxiety goes down. So yes, there is good evidence that social media is a contributor.
And especially among young girls. I mean, there's so much comparison out there, looking at images and then looking at yourself and just feeling bad about yourself when they're little and beautiful and they're just getting these images that, completely put their mind in a place where it shouldn't be. So I mentioned that Australia passed this social media ban, and there are states in the country, and it goes both ways. And when it comes to Republican-controlled states and Democrat-controlled states, from Florida to California, that are interested in cracking down on social media in certain ways. Do you think that that's the solution, the federal government or the state government stepping in and putting bans in place, or should this be something that happens at home? What do you think about that?
Well, of course, in America, we generally think that the parents should be the principal deciders of this. But here's the thing. We're all trying. We are trying, but we can't keep our kids off unless you can keep your kid away from the internet. Because the way it's set up now, if your kid can get to a web browser, they can sign a contract with any of these companies, open an account, you'll never know, and the company will take their data, expose them to harmful things, and they don't need your permission. So Florida and many other states, and you're right, it's completely bipartisan because Republicans and Democrats, we all have kids. So it's completely bipartisan. For the most part, I want parents to be able to decide what they do, but we need help. Just like we can't be the ones who keep our kids out of liquor stores. We have to have the company checking ages. So yes, we need it. Parents want it. Australia's showing it can be done. Yeah. There's really no reason not to do this.
Yeah, you're right. Politics is second when it comes to things like this. Parents are parents first, and we all love our children and need to protect them. Jonathan, thank you so much for joining us. Very important topic. We appreciate you and your work.
My pleasure, Carly.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
Yes.
What do you think? How do you feel about that?
I agree.
Do you think? Do you think that's the way to do it? Is to pass a law that says that social media should be illegal for kids under 16?
Well, I feel that it begins in the home, right? You and I have, I see a difference in Adriana, and she sees a difference when she talks to me about her kid or about her friends.
Yeah.
And social media, she talks about it.
We've had Audrey on the podcast if you guys want to go back and look. And I did a clip about social media. I think it was one of the times you had COVID or you were sick. And I was asking her some of those questions about the differences between her and her friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I feel that it blows my mind hearing like us parents need help. You know what I'm saying?
When he said that.
Yeah.
Or he said something like they're trying.
Right.
What did you think when he said that?
I'm like, what are you talking about? They're trying. Like, who's the parent? I mean, I don't get it. I don't understand.
I don't understand that either.
Yeah, I don't understand. Yeah.
What are you trying?
Like, you don't have control. It's like not having control of
your household.
Yeah.
Your kids, like what they're doing.
Right.
Yeah, it's tough because in a way, like when I first saw the band, then I'm like, oh, awesome.
Right.
Awesome. That's great that they're thinking about this type of stuff. Like this shit's bad for kids. They should put a ban on it. Mm-hmm. But we were talking about freedom earlier. And that's a real thing. It's a real thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's not the kind of freedom I was talking about, but you're talking about the freedom of choice. But at that age, I mean, they're still developing.
Right. Yeah. No, and I agree with the guy was saying. He's like, we have laws to keep kids out of liquor stores.
Right.
And yeah, like we don't fully understand the effects of this stuff yet.
And this is crazy. It's a bit of a cop-out. But when the parent can say, no more social media, it's against the rules. It's against the law.
I watched a different video. I was kind of debating like which video to play because I watched a few of them about this thing. One of the videos that I was watching was saying something like that. Like the mom is going to tell the kid, hey, you're not supposed to be on the phone. That's illegal or something like that.
Yeah.
That
because
seems fucking...
It takes them out of the picture of being the bad guy.
Stop being a fucking pussy.
But do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
see what I'm
like you're
saying?
saying it's a cop out.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It is a freaking like, dude. I don't know. You know, one thing I do know is, I mean, social media is illegal in this house.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not, but it is.
Yeah.
Neither one of our kids have social media, and our daughter's going to turn 16. And this is great because you have this social media ban now in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
Our daughter's going to turn 16, and it's a talk that we're going to have that we need. Like, we've already started talking to the kids about like social media, and they don't seem to miss it.
Adriana doesn't seem to.
Joey
Right?
doesn't really ask for it. Audrey doesn't really ask for it either.
Because it's not a thing in our house.
And, you know, they were also talking about, well, this is just going to make kids go and do it behind your back. Like, do it. They're going to figure out other ways. As long as they
Right.
have access to a browser, they're going to be able to do what. And then the other video that I was watching was also talking. It
addiction.
starts getting kind of like into other things. How do you verify a kid's age? Do you have to upload a passport? And then what?
Yeah.
You know, like it gets complicated.
Right.
But yeah, like you were saying with the guy, we tried, or parents are trying.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? Get control of your house.
Well, this is what happens. What happens is, so think about this. They're little, you're shopping, you're at a restaurant.
That is a big one. Yep.
And in order to keep the kid,
And do what you got to do.
you give them a phone. You give them something to entertain themselves. And this becomes the thing. This becomes the
numbing or the calm the kid down
right
tactic.
Right. And so they're doing it selfishly. Is that how you sound? For themselves.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it becomes a thing. Then the kid gets a phone, right? 2 years, 3 years old.
Yeah.
Kid gets a phone. This gives the parent the time to do whatever they're doing. They're watching their show. They go from watching the show to watching, to getting on,
YouTube
social media,
and-
just all these things. And it becomes a thing. And then the kid gets to a certain age where they have their own social media, right? Now they're not going on the mom's.
Yeah, now they got
have
their own phone.
And it's been this way from the beginning. And
Yeah.
now the parent starts to see that the child is not coming out of its room. The child is always on its phone constantly. And then it becomes an issue. And then the parents decide, oh, this isn't a good thing. And then they try to take it away from them after they've
had
been
it.
allowing them to do it from the beginning. Now they're
Now it's gonna
getting
be
all
hard.
this pushback, all this resistance, all of it.
Yeah, and all the kids have it.
You know?
You know, how come you taking it away from me when
No,
Yeah.
you do it.
right?
I've been having a phone. So why is it now an issue?
Yeah.
But even then, you can take control. It's just a little more difficult.
It's harder.
It's
Yeah.
kind of like if we didn't find out Adriana had celiac until she was 13. And for 13 years, she's been eating gluten, hamburgers,
and having trouble and-
spaghetti, right. But because we found out when she was 2 years old,
Yeah.
it wasn't even a thing. It's not, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
She's not sneaking.
Yeah, because she's never had it, and not only has she never had it, but she can see the effect that it has on her friends. She can see her friends on social media and how they react to certain things, and yeah,
And the lack of communication, like you, right?
And-
Like she talks about it, the lack
Yeah.
of communication. Oh, we're over here, eating at a restaurant and, they're on their phone and she's just like, what's going on here? Right. But her friends are pretty aware, but she mentions it in other kids, but her friends don't seem to be that. Like when they hang out, They're not
yeah.
at their.
Well, they attract similar kids,
Right.
to each other.
Do you remember we were in California and we were eating at that taco place,
Yeah.
the yummy tacos? There were these teenagers, maybe young 20s, whatever,
Yeah, yeah.
in front of us. They were all on their phones.
They
There
were
was
talking to
5
each
of
other
them.
while they were looking at their phones.
Yes. And
That was weird. Yeah.
it was sad.
And then it's when they were kind of interacting, they were showing each other stuff on their phones.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
You know-
what does that lead to? Think about that. Like, think about the bigger picture.
The guy mentions it in the video. Like, they are trying to get kids addicted. And we had a guy on this podcast, Isaiah McPeak. If you guys go back and look at it, it was when he was one of the founders of Pinwheel, which is a kid's phone. And he was talking about, it's like having a slot machine on your phone. Like, they are trying to make these things as addictive as possible. And one thing that I've thought about is, what is it that makes the social medias so powerful? What is the one thing that makes them so powerful? They all have it. And it changes here and there from time to time. It's the algorithm.
Why does that make it powerful?
Because it's learning who you are. And it's giving you
I
more
see what you're
of
saying.
what
Okay.
you want to watch or what it thinks you want to watch.
Dude, no, for real.
What is... Our son plays with Rubik's Cubes.
Mm-hmm.
And when he needs to move pieces around, what does he use?
YouTube.
No.
What, when he has
An
to
algorithm.
Oh, sorry.
And what is
Which
an
I like
what
learn.
is an algorithm? What does he do with the algorithm to the Rubik's Cube?
Manipulates it.
He manipulates it. Everybody knows that that is the biggest thing that these social media companies have.
Right.
Is their algorithm and how powerful that algorithm is. What does that algorithm do? It manipulates. It manipulates you.
To buy the new thing, to get the new thing, to all these things. It's crazy. Even the advertisements that pop up on your phone are...
Everybody knows it.
Right. It's
Yep.
like you search one thing and
And
all of
that's
a
it.
sudden that's what's coming through.
Yep.
Right? Like I was searching the singing bowls.
Yep.
All of a sudden there's all kinds of ads regarding singing bowls.
Yep. Yeah, it's
you
crazy.
know? And that's why TikTok was created in China. China. And how are they? Do they allow their...
They don't even allow they don't have the same version of TikTok
Isn't
that we have.
crazy?
But they're
Like-
not a free country.
But why do you think that is?
And I think they've had a ban.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like Australia is they've had a ban on TikTok.
Yeah. So why do you think that is? Come on, people. It's time to wake up. Like, this is the thing. And that's just
But
one. That's social media.
It's just so hard because
Right?
that's not how we want to live because we value freedom so much.
Right.
But shit, freedom is getting your kids addicted to social media.
Yeah, but that's...
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's fucking crazy. But at the same time, like for me personally, right? Go ahead and put a fucking ban on social media. I don't give a fuck. Do you know what I don't want it, but I really don't give a shit. Because the social media's been banned.
But how is... Okay.
You know?
Time to ask you some questions.
But as far as freedom goes,
Yeah.
we talked about control. I do not want to be controlled in any way.
And sometimes you're being controlled and you don't even know you're being controlled. Yeah. So lately you've, been posting a lot, right? On social media, doing this, doing that. And feeling, right? You get questions or people are responding to a podcast or to a post that you just posted in your, other podcast, Fighting for Your Life, whatever. You see these comments. What is the first thing that pops up when you see these comments?
I got to respond. Yeah, depending on what it is. But that's just my thought for what I'm doing. But yeah, got to respond.
When?
A lot of times it's like now when I see it.
Why?
That I don't feel like an obligation, but I thought I had heard if you put something out and people are commenting on it and you're commenting on it, the algorithm is noticing that this thing is getting traction, which shares it more.
So the way it works is,
But like you've mentioned to me, which makes sense. So I don't do that all the time now. Now, if I get a bunch of comments, I'll probably wait a day, comment on a bunch of stuff. Then I get more comments. I'll wait another day, comment again. Like you were saying, which makes a lot of sense, is that it'll keep bringing it back up and posting it again, kind of like posting it again and bringing it back up into the feed because people are continuing to comment on it for days instead of just one day.
right. And the way they get you, the way addicted to is you feeling that you have to comment right there and then.
Yeah.
Right? Versus you scheduling a time. So those of you, like scheduling a time a day where you are focused on responding to the comments, whether it's on a Monday or a Wednesday for an hour or 40 minutes, whatever. And this is something that I have to do because I've gotten away from social media because I feel like going through my post, I feel anxiety. I'm not doing enough because I have a lot of friends that are coaches, right? And it's like I'm watching all this and I'm like, you need to do more, you need to do more, you need to do more, you need to do more. And I start to feel this overwhelming feeling and I'm just like, I'm fucking done. Like I can't do this. Right. Yeah. And that's why lately I just haven't really been posting much.
Yeah.
Because I, as an adult, what it brings to me, I just can't, I don't want to.
Yeah.
But with what I do,
you have to.
So instead, I will schedule a time and post. You can actually schedule it on Facebook. You can schedule a post before, go on there, work it for an hour, schedule the post to come out on certain days. So you don't have to be in that all the time.
Yeah, like the guy was saying in the video, these things are powerful. And when we talked to Isaiah McPeak from Pinwheel, he was saying like they have the smartest people working on this stuff.
Right.
I mean, Elon Musk owns fucking Twitter. Like they have, just like you may be really good at what you do at work, there's other people that are really good at algorithms. That's what they do. Whatever you're the best at that you've been doing forever, they've been doing this. Yeah. They've been hooking people with algorithms and they're good at it.
Yeah.
And you don't, like you were just saying, you don't have to, and like the video was saying, you're either in control.
Right.
Or you're being controlled.
Right.
And you don't have to be controlled by these things. Like you said, you schedule a time to post, you learn how does this algorithm work? Okay, I'll let people comment and I'll just take 10 minutes and comment tomorrow on all kinds of shit. Oh, I'm getting more comments. The next day, I'll wait a day and give it another 10 minutes, comments on all kinds of shit. You're in control. You're using that algorithm, right? You were asking me earlier about, like, to give an example of this being in control type of thing.
Are you the tool or are you being the tool?
This is something that you've seen in big companies everywhere. Like, they'll work you to the bone, overtime for days if they allow it. And then if something happens, you get laid off, like whatever, you're gone. That's just how it is in big places. Now, some people, they will, hey, do you want to work overtime? Yes. Yeah. And they feel if I don't do it, then something bad's going to happen. So I got to work it. I got to do it. I got to do this. And then, oh, the holidays are coming around. It's Christmas. My family's coming to town. Can you work this? Oh, well, I have. And then, we really got to get this. We really got, okay, well, I'll just tell my family that I have to go in on.
Right.
And now they're going into work on a day that they weren't going to be going to work. As opposed to you work for a place, you do the best that you can. Like you do your job, you do what you're supposed to do, but the company offers training for certain things. So you start taking some of those trainings that give you more skills. The company offers certificate classes from universities, like up on the wall over there. You take those certificate classes and get more skills, more certificates, more things that make you more valuable. The company asks you to do things, and if you feel that you're getting your value from the company, you can do your part. You can work the overtime if you want to, if it helps. But at the end of the day, if it comes down to like an ultimatum, you know what? I see what's happening here. Over these last few years, because I've been in control, I've been doing my fucking thing. Now, you can choose to you can give me the ultimatum, but I know I have tons of skills that I can rely on. I'm not worried. I can go back to being a mechanic. I can go back to being an inspector. I can go do some of these things that I got certificates for. I've gotten experience doing different jobs. Maybe I can get a job doing that. But I'm in control. As opposed to, I can't, I have to, or something's going to happen. Something bad's going to happen. Or they're going to anyway.
Yeah.
You know?
Yo.
That's it, yo. Last episode of the year. But yeah, I think just try to find a different perspective on things. There's always sometimes there's ways that we look at things that put yourself in somebody else's shoes.
Yeah.
How would one thing that I keep bringing up to you is nature. How would this work out naturally in the natural world without people fucking with it?
Yeah. You know, today we were watching this show called The Things That We Cannot Say.
You can't ask that or something like that.
Yeah, you can't ask that. And it's weird that they had different episodes.
Different topics,
right?
yeah.
Different topics, different episodes. And the one that I wanted to see was talking to those that try to commit suicide. And it's funny because of the person that I am, you wouldn't think I would want to hear that because it's kind of
dark.
Yeah.
And sad.
Right. But because of the work I do, like
wanted
I
to
was
hear it.
interested.
You're curious.
I want you right. And listening to these individuals talk about why they had made the decision to, commit suicide.
Some of them, yeah, they almost did it.
Right. It all had to do with their thoughts,
their perspective,
the stories,
how
and
they place value.
Yep, the limited beliefs, the programming, really the conditioning, not being worthy, not being loved, it's just all these things. But it was their thinking, it was the thoughts that were pouring in that got them into this dark space where they couldn't breathe anymore, where they felt that it was just too much to go to live.
Yeah.
And and I was telling you, like, this is why I love being a coach. Because I help people to take control of their mind and step into their light. And I was telling you, like, for me, I feel that there's levels to this, to becoming aware, or a higher consciousness. Because there's more that has to be, or there's more that, has to be revealed, because shit is always going to come up. There's always going to be a challenge. There's always going to be an obstacle. There's always going to be something that happens in your life. Whether it's losing a job, losing a loved one, feeling like you're losing yourself. and not getting lost in your thoughts. The mind is very powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And when you can take control of the mind, you will find freedom.
All right, would you say you're in control of your mind?
Not yet. I'm aware. I'm aware of the thoughts. I'm aware of.
Why do you
right?
say you're not in control of your mind?
Well, not that I'm not. Well, because lately I've been going through this thing, and I've been struggling to get back aligned with my joy.
Yeah.
Right? And I know it's the next thing because it has to do with self-worth and money. I know it's a self thing. I know that it's the next part of my healing in order to, because of what my fee is. Right? There's coaches that charge a lot less.
Yeah.
Knowing my self-worth. So I know it's part of my healing. So I'm excited about it. It's not easy because I'm trying to figure out what is that thing that's attached? What is the story? What is the limited belief? So I'm having to go back and self-reflect and see what happened to me.
So you can
to make
find
me feel
whatever that.
Right. Yeah. And that's work.
Yeah.
Especially because I don't have, like I am self-processing. I am my first,
peace and freedom and enlightenment, all that stuff, whatever that is.
Mm-hmm.
Once I've started having some of these experiences and like understanding things like that, the one thing that I've kept saying is detaching, accepting, detaching from whatever you think is how it is or whatever, accepting whatever you think, like that can't be that. It seems like it is. There's something about detaching, accepting that comes with that is the way to peace and freedom and enlightenment. And today, and you were just saying that this is the next step, the next part of your growth, of your journey, and you have to reflect.
I don't have to.
Or that you're reflecting so that you can. I said find. You didn't say find, but you agreed. So I don't know, maybe I tricked you.
Probably. You're a great manipulator.
But when we were in the car earlier before we started the podcast, or yesterday or something, you had mentioned something about, like you mentioned in the podcast earlier that you've been going through a lot because you've been reading a lot. There's a lot of information out there. You've been reading about Mary Magdalene. All
kinds of stuff.
You've been listening to 3 different books.
Yes.
And I listen to and read like a lot of shit too throughout the entire day. I said, why is it that you feel all this anxiety and all this fucking shit? And like, I take in a lot of negative information, like the things that are happening in the world, how human nature works, how people are manipulated. Like, this is not fun shit to look up.
Yeah.
Every time I find something new, I'm like, oh, fuck. Like, goddamn, they're tricking people in all kinds of different ways, you know?
Yeah.
But there's this, so when we were in the car, I said that the difference is you're searching.
Seeking.
You're trying to find the answer to whatever. Like, I don't know, the growth, the next step, whatever that fucking thing is. the next level. I don't know.
I know.
But it's different when you're trying to find the answers as opposed to just curious and I wonder why things are how they are. And when you're just accepting information for what it is, like it doesn't have that effect on you.
Yeah. The things that I'm reading, I'm learning right now. There's a lot that I'm learning right now. So when you say I'm seeking, you're incorrect.
Well, this is one thing that I've started to notice, and I've said it here, I've said it to you, I've been saying it a lot. When you try to justify things that don't make sense, it gets complicated. That has to do with acceptance and detachment. Because when you're reading a book about Mary Magdalene and you have this feeling that there's more to this story than anybody fucking knows, like there's things that they've kept from us, and there's this or
you could go down that rabbit hole.
It's like,
if that's how you
I see it, I'm like, yeah, I'm sure it seems that way. It seems like there's things that haven't been told. It seems like there's stories that are missing. I mean, just look at history. People weren't always talking on the fucking internet and recording everything all the damn time.
Yeah.
So they did they used to fucking write on cat gut fucking paper or whatever the hell they used to use back in the day. They did the best they could with what they had, and they did what they thought was right, which apparently now we can look back and be like, maybe not all of that shit was right. But when you detach from it, it is what it is. Yeah. Now, what happens when you try to what happens when you try to justify all the things that are in the Bible? The things that don't make sense anymore. How much brain power, how much fucking do you need to be able to justify why women aren't even included in the Bible? Why they talk about gay people the way they did? Why, like all these things that people have issues with. Yeah. You detach. Detach, and I accept things for what they are. That's human nature. That's what it seems to me. Look at people. I've talked to you so much about this recently. Consciousness. No other animal runs around thinking about this type of shit all the time. We have consciousness, and one part of consciousness is that you're always going to have fucking questions. Always. No matter where did this come from? You fucking walk somewhere, you see a quarter, where'd this quarter come from? Like, it's like nonstop.
What I've noticed with me is that everything lies within me. You know, what I want, the things that are important, there is a knowing within me. And at times we can detach from that knowing within when we start to question and we start looking for answers outside of ourselves.
Looking to others for answers.
Versus going within. Instead of asking a question, contemplate it. Go within.
And don't be afraid to ask questions. They're just questions.
Right. Yeah.
Yep. And with that, we'll be back for, I think this is not the last. This is the last episode of the year. Happy New Year's, everybody.
Happy New Year.
I guess we'll talk to you guys in 2025.
Yes. Thank you guys for your love. Thank you for your support. And thank you for watching Opposites Track Podcast.
Where we get better
together.
Bye.